Hiya, I am Husky Light, and I'm still doing my 7 laws of the universe, and I'm going to be discussing the law of vibration. Okay, I'll go through immutable and mutable laws again for you, just in case you haven't seen any of the other videos that have come out. But I advise you to go and watch those as well, they're quite interesting. Of the 7 universal laws, the first 3 are immutable, which means they are eternal laws. They are absolute and they cannot be changed in any way, shape, or form. They cannot be transcended. They have always existed and always will exist. That's the way they are, and they can't be changed in the slightest. So, the third, oh god, I've forgotten which law it is now. Is it the third one? Yeah, the third one is the law of vibration. The law of vibration states that everything in the universe moves and vibrates. Nothing is still, everything moves. And everything is vibrating at a certain frequency, and everything vibrates at a different frequency. Nothing rests ever. Everything that you see around you is vibrating at either one frequency or another frequency, depending on what it is. We are vibrating at a certain frequency, okay? But our frequency is a lot different from other things that are within the universe, just as other things in the universe, their vibrations are different from everything else. Each has their own unique vibration. So even though it seems like you are separated from what is around you, you are not at all. We are at one. I've said it in quite a few videos. I'll probably keep saying it until we get it. We are not separated at all, ever. We are living in a universe which is just full of energy. The whole universe is energy, all vibrating at different speeds, and we are all connected at the lowest level. So when we think of the law of attraction, the law of vibration is actually the foundation for the law of attraction. Everything's got its own vibrational frequency. So for instance, this table in front of me is vibrating. I cannot see it vibrating, but it is vibrating at its own frequency. My microphone, the dog, the chair, the curtains, everything is vibrating at a certain frequency, whether we can see it vibrating or not. Just because you cannot see something does not mean it is not happening, or does not mean that it isn't real. So the table may look really solid, but within the table in front of me, or your table, anybody's table, there are millions and millions of subatomic particles. It's a big word for this time of night, isn't it? Subatomic particles popping and moving around within that table with energy. The table is pure energy and pure movement. Everything in this universe, as I said, has got its own vibrational frequency, and this is the law of vibration in action. Ooh. So as I say, it appears solid to us because we can't see it, but that is actually an illusion, because it is actually vibrating and it's moving. Remember, nothing rests in the universe. The whole of the universe is vibrating at one speed or another, or one frequency or another. So before the invention of the microscope, people would have really not believed you if you'd have turned around to them and said, guess what, on your skin here there is tiny little creatures running around and crawling all over your skin. They would have burnt you at the stake or put you in a mental asylum, because they can't see them. Why would they believe that? Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's true. It is true. We do have millions and millions of bacteria on our skin. We do have millions and millions of little small creatures crawling around on our skin. We can't see them, but we can see them with a microscope. So before the microscope was invented, people would not have believed you. But we believe it today because we have a microscope and because we can actually see that happening. All skin is covered in bacteria. The dog's skin, my skin, your skin, whoever's skin it is. Skin is a living, breathing organ. It's one of the largest organs in our body. And if we were to look at it under a microscope, it'd probably look pretty gross, to be honest. And I really wouldn't want to. But, so anyway, our skin is vibrating along with everything else that is vibrating. Just because we can't see it, as I say, doesn't mean that it's not there. So that old saying of seeing is believing is a pretty rubbish saying, really. So we have to learn to a certain extent from history when we say things are moving that we can't see, because at some point in the future we will have the apparatus, or somebody will make an invention that you will be able to see that this solid table in front of me, or your table, or the curtains, or whatever, are vibrating at a certain frequency, are moving and never rest. Throughout modern history, we seem to only rely on our five senses, whereas back in ancient history we used to have our sixth sense, our third eye, our pineal gland, and we also use that as well. Now we are starting to wake up. Our sixth sense, our pineal gland, our third eye, is starting, we are using it again, it's starting to come back into use. Doesn't mean because my third eye is open I can see the table vibrating in front of me. I just know that it is. But what we're saying, or what I'm saying, is we live in a reality where we only rely on our five senses when everything is moving, just because we can't see it. So when at some point in the future somebody invents something that we can see the table moving and vibrating, we can turn around and go, ah, yes, we can see it, that is real, that exists. But isn't that what happened years ago before the invention of the microscope? They didn't believe it. They didn't believe we had little creatures crawling around on our skin until that microscope was invented. So I think we used to think the world was flat until somebody turned around and said, actually no, it's not, it's round. And it is round, and they managed to prove that it was round, and then we all turned around and went, ah, the world isn't flat, it is round, somebody proved it to us. And then somebody said that the earth was the centre of our universe, and that's not the centre of our universe. Then it changed to the Milky Way was the only galaxy, and then it changed again, and we found out that the Milky Way is not the only galaxy, but it's just one of billions of galaxies. So things change as we go through evolution, as new inventions are made and new things are made as well. Our frame of knowledge is constantly changing because science is always showing us new things and new truths. So our frame of knowledge has been changing as long as we've lived on this planet. So it's about time we actually started to realise, whether we are awake or not, that something can be a reality, even though we can't use our five senses to actually see it, sense it, touch it, feel it, taste it, hear it. We need to keep an open mind about all things. Like I said, if we all believe in the law of attraction, then we have to believe in the law of vibration, which is the foundation for the law of attraction. When we get onto the right frequency of the thing that we want and the thing we want to manifest, that's when it starts to manifest. Money has a different frequency, it runs on a different vibration than it does to love. Love runs on a different vibration to the table. Hate runs on a different vibration. Everything has its own vibration which goes at its own speed, and it's only when we can tune in and be at one with that particular vibration that we can actually see it manifest. So I would imagine if I knew what the vibration of a table was and I could tune into that vibration of the table, I could make a table manifest. It's like tuning into a radio station. If you've not got it tuned in quite right, then you can't quite hear the station, you can't quite hear the music that is playing. You know that station's there, but you're just not quite on that frequency. So another really good example of what we perceive to be true and not true is a dog whistle. Somebody blows a dog whistle, we cannot hear it, we are not tuned in to the frequency of a dog whistle. But if somebody blows a dog whistle for their dog, as in Jean, and I don't know what's going on, they're going to have a fight in a minute, stop it. The dogs can actually hear the dog whistle. Science has shown us that dogs can detect sounds that we can't. Their hearing is excellent compared to ours, and that. But before science was able to prove that, just excuse me because I don't want to start. Somebody's been a proper little terrier and trying to beat up a husky, and now you're in my thing. It's spoiling the video. So before science could actually prove that dogs could hear better than us, we didn't believe that that was true. So we need to actually be really, really open to the idea that are things going on in our lives which might be true, even though we're not using our five senses to verify that. Just like the law of vibration, we need to think outside the box. We really need to start to think outside the box. We need to keep an open mind, and we should be getting better at thinking out of the box. What might be impossible today could be completely possible tomorrow, or it could be possible in 5 years or 10 years because of the advancement of science. The law of vibration might be a subject in school for children to learn in the next 10 to 15 years, for all we know. For all we know, in 10 to 15 years, somebody might be teaching the 7 laws of the universe to them as part of the curriculum. So things change, science changes every day. Science discovers new things that come into our existence, which are then provable, which then we believe. But before they prove that it's real, we need to keep an open mind and think outside the box. We don't need to wait, or we shouldn't need to wait for science to actually have to prove it to us before we believe it. And for those of us that have awakened, we already sense and know that's true, because we've heard it and we know it from our guides, our angels, from the collective consciousness. It's part of the information that comes down to us upon awakening, and that everything has its own vibration. So yeah, if we'd have been born 100 years ago, things would have been a lot different back then, and microscope wasn't invented, things weren't invented that are invented today. Who would have believed over 100 years ago that we could have television and sit and watch programs and sit and watch people on a box in front of us? So keep an open mind. So that is the law of vibration, and hopefully that gives you a better understanding of how you actually manifest things. Again, when it's put together with the other 7 laws, this is what happens. Put them all together and you can start to create miracles. If Einstein says it's true, then it's true. Speak to you soon.